carries secrets that only those who seek God in stillness can understand. The midnight hour is not just the end of a day. It is a gateway to miracles. It is the time when destinies can be rewritten, when hearts can be healed, and when blessings can descend upon the one who remembers Allah with sincerity and love. As you lie down to rest, understand that your spirit does not sleep. The body may rest, but the soul journeys into realms unseen. It is in those moments that your whispered prayer, your silent remembrance, becomes louder in the heavens than the noise of the day. Every subhanallah, every alhamdulillah, every heartbeat filled with gratitude becomes a light that rises before God. This is the mystery of midnight miracles, that while the world sleeps, heaven listens. The angels are moving, destinies are being shifted, and divine favor is being poured upon those who dare to believe. When your prayer becomes your lullaby, your sleep becomes an altar. When your last thought before rest is remembrance of Allah, your dreams become guided, your spirit guarded, and your path illuminated. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, do not see it as an end, see it as an invitation to align your heart with the Creator, to let His peace settle over your thoughts, and to let His blessings find you even in your rest. Because when your night belongs to God, your morning will carry the fragrance of divine favor. There is a mystery hidden in the night that many do not understand. When the sun sets and the noise of the world fades away, there is a stillness that carries the presence of the unseen. The night is not just a time for rest. It is a divine chamber where the invisible hand of God moves quietly. While people close their eyes and drift into sleep, there are spiritual transactions taking place that shape the dawn of the next day. It is in the quiet hours of the night that destinies are redirected, hearts are mended, and blessings begin their journey toward those who call upon Allah with sincerity. The night has always been sacred. Even in the ancient scriptures, it is said that certain hours of the night are not ordinary. There is something holy about the darkness when it becomes filled with the remembrance of Allah. It is during this time that those who understand the language of the Spirit rise from their beds, lift their hearts, and speak to their Creator. The world may be asleep, but heaven is awake. The angels are listening, and every whisper, every tear, every sigh from a heart that seeks God becomes a sound that stirs the unseen realm. The night carries a weight that the day does not. During the day, the heart is distracted by noise, by duties, by voices that pull it in every direction. But in the night, silence takes over, and silence is the language of heaven. It is in that silence that a believer can truly hear what God is saying. It is in that quietness that the soul finds its way back home. The darkness of the night is not a symbol of fear. It is a cloak that hides the sacred meeting between the soul and its Creator. It is the hour when the veil between heaven and earth feels thin, when prayers rise faster, and when blessings fall like rain upon those who remember Allah. There are unseen battles fought in the night. While one person sleeps in peace, another wages war in prayer. While one heart dreams aimlessly, another heart is awake in the spirit, wrestling for victory, interceding for mercy, seeking direction and pleading for the light of God to fill their path. Those who understand this mystery know that the night is not empty. It is full of power, full of movement, full of purpose. The night listens. It receives every word that comes from a sincere heart, and those words begin to shape the reality of the day that follows. When the believer kneels in the darkness and whispers, "Why Allah?" the heavens respond. Even if the voice is tired, even if the tears are silent, even if the faith feels small, the sincerity behind that call shakes the unseen world. The night is where the greatest miracles are born, because it is where faith is tested in silence. It is easy to pray when everyone is watching, but it is powerful to pray when no one sees. It is in those hidden hours that true intimacy with God is found, and that intimacy is what attracts blessings. Every person who has ever carried divine favor learned the secret of the night. They learned that when others sleep, you can build your future in prayer. They discover that the night can be a workshop of transformation. A person may enter the night burdened and rise in the morning renewed. They may go to sleep in confusion and wake up with clarity, because the one who watches over them never sleeps. The one who listens in the night is the same one who commands the dawn. When you make your prayer before sleep, when you whisper remembrance of Allah into the darkness, you are inviting the presence of the divine into your rest. You are saying, "God, while I close my eyes, you remain awake for me." That single act of trust changes everything, because in that surrender, the heart finds peace, the mind finds rest, and the soul finds its place in the rhythm of divine mercy. It is not the length of your prayer that moves heaven, but the truth within it. Even a short, heartfelt cry in the night can draw blessings that generations will feel. The night is not only for those who suffer, it is also for those who desire to grow. It is the time when dreams are planted, when divine ideas are conceived, and when blessings begin to take form. In the unseen world, angels move like messengers, carrying the prayers of the faithful and returning with peace, provision, and favor. That is why every believer should guard their night carefully. Do not allow the darkness to be wasted. Do not let your last thoughts be filled with fear, anger, or regret. Let them be filled with remembrance, gratitude, and hope. When you understand that the night is a divine mystery, you begin to treat it differently. You no longer see it as the end of the day, but as the beginning of something sacred. You begin to realize that your tomorrow is shaped by what you do in the quiet of the night. While others sleep away their chances, you can choose to stand in prayer, to whisper your dreams, to surrender your burdens, and to ask God for favor that will follow you into the morning. And when you do, you will find that the unseen becomes seen, the impossible becomes possible, and the night, once silent, begins to sing with miracles. When the world closes its eyes and sinks into sleep, the heavens do not rest. The stars above remain awake, bearing witness to the ceaseless activity of the unseen realm. It is in those still hours of the night that divine attention turns toward the earth, searching for the hearts that still whisper remembrance, for the souls that stay awake not with worry, but with worship, The heavens are never silent, never tired, never unaware. While you sleep, angels are moving, decrees are being written. And the mercy of God flows quietly like a river through the darkness. The night, to the one who understands, is not a void of silence, but a living conversation between heaven and earth. There is something sacred about those who wake up in the night to call upon God, when the noise of the day has vanished and the distractions of the world have faded. The sincerity of a heart becomes clearer, purer, more powerful. In that silence, your voice is not lost. It is amplified in the spiritual realm. When you whisper a prayer, it does not disappear into the air. It travels to the throne of God. Even the smallest murmur of gratitude, even the faintest word of remembrance echoes in the heavens with a sound more beautiful than music. While others dream of temporary things, the one who prays at night reaches into eternity. The heavens are awake because the plans of destiny never pause. There are blessings being prepared, doors being opened, protection being assigned. Every act of faith in the night carries weight in the morning. When you pray before sleeping, when you ask for forgiveness, when you thank Allah for another day, you are aligning yourself with the eternal rhythm of divine order. The night is not empty. It is full of divine motion, full of life that your eyes cannot see, but your spirit can feel. In the silence of the night, your heart becomes more honest. The mask you wear in the day, the strength, the composure, the smile that hides the pain, it all fades away when you are alone with God. It is there, in that honest place, that your prayer becomes real. No performance, no audience, no pressure, just you and your Creator. The heavens listen to those raw words, those quiet tears that never fall in public, those thoughts you could never say aloud. The heavens respond not to the beauty of your words, but to the truth of your heart. There is a divine tenderness in the way God watches over the sleeping believer. When you lie down and surrender to rest, He covers you with unseen mercy. He knows your fears, your weariness, your unspoken hopes. Even in sleep, your spirit remains connected to Him. That is why some nights bring dreams that comfort you, visions that strengthen you, or moments that feel like whispers from beyond. These are not random. They are the reflections of a heart that has remembered Allah before rest. When you choose to make your last words before sleep a remembrance of Allah, you are inviting heaven to guard your night. The angels stand by your side. Peace surrounds your space. Protection covers your home. Even in your most vulnerable state, when your body is unaware and your eyes are closed, God's awareness remains constant. He is not bound by time or tiredness. His gaze never leaves those who trust Him. That is why the one who prays before sleeping wakes up refreshed. Not just in body, but in spirit. There is a renewal that comes from surrendering the night to the one who controls all things. The world may see the night as a time to disconnect, but in truth, it is the most powerful time to connect, not with people, but with heaven. It is when your words carry a purity that daylight cannot give. It is when the noise of ambition and worry fades, and what remains is the essence of who you are before your Creator. The heavens are drawn to that kind of honesty. When you speak in the night, Your voice joins a sacred chorus. The whispers of the prophets, the cries of the righteous, the songs of the angels. There are stories written in the night, stories of answered prayers, of sudden peace, of burdens lifted in silence. Many miracles that appear in the morning were born in the stillness of the previous night. Blessings that seem sudden have roots in the unseen hours, when the heart reached upward and heaven reached down. That is why you must never underestimate your prayer before sleep. Never doubt the power of your whispered remembrance. Never think that the night is quiet. It is alive with divine presence. When you rest, know that you are not forgotten. The one who formed the stars keeps watch over you. The same heavens that hold the galaxies also hold your prayers. While you sleep, angels walk through your home, carrying peace, guarding your dreams, and preparing the new mercies of the morning. When you awaken, it is not just another day. It is a day prepared by the prayers you released into the night. The world may sleep in ignorance, but the wise understand the value of this sacred hour. The night belongs to those who remember Allah, to those who trust that even in silence, heaven is at work. While the eyes of men close, the eyes of God never do. While hearts grow weary, His mercy remains awake. So when the world sleeps, do not fear the darkness. Within it, the light of the divine is moving, watching, blessing, and waiting for the one heart that still calls His name. There is a mystery that unfolds when a believer rises at midnight and lifts their heart to God. The ordinary night suddenly becomes holy ground, and the air itself feels different. The world is quiet, but heaven is alive. In that stillness, a divine exchange begins to take place. Human weakness meets divine strength. Human need touches divine abundance, and the prayers of faith become keys that open the doors of mercy, favor, and supernatural intervention. Midnight prayer is not just a ritual, it is an invitation to step into the unseen, to speak directly to the one who holds all power, and to watch the impossible bow to the authority of faith. When you stand or sit in prayer at that hour, you are doing more than whispering words. You are entering into a spiritual conversation that shapes the world around you. The night carries a silence that magnifies your sincerity. Every word you speak, every tear you shed, every breath you take in remembrance of Allah is heard with greater clarity. The heavens lean closer to listen, because the voice of the one who prays when others sleep carries a special fragrance before God. It is the fragrance of sacrifice, of love, of faith that chooses devotion over comfort. Midnight prayer is a weapon of the Spirit. It pierces through the darkness of confusion, depression, and fear. It has the power to silence the noise of doubt and replace it with peace that cannot be explained. When you rise to pray while the world rests, you declare that your trust is not in the strength of the day, but in the faithfulness of God. You are saying, even while I sleep, you remain in control. Even when I cannot see, you are working. Those moments of prayer in the night are not wasted. They are seeds planted in the soil of eternity. The angels record every sincere cry that rises from the earth at midnight. They carry those prayers upward, and in return, blessings begin to flow downward. Healing, protection, guidance. and unexpected favor. Many people wonder why some doors open for them without struggle, why some battles end before they begin. The answer often lies in the unseen faithfulness of prayer made in the stillness of the night. Midnight prayer attracts what cannot be earned by effort alone. Divine favor that makes your path smooth and your steps steady. There is something deeply intimate about praying at that hour. It is not loud or public. It is quiet, personal, sacred. You do not need perfect words or long recitations. You only need a heart that is honest before Allah. When your spirit whispers His name in the darkness, you become surrounded by light. The darkness loses its grip because light and remembrance cannot coexist with despair. In those moments, you realize that prayer is not just about asking, it is about aligning your heart with the will of God. It is about surrendering control and saying, God, I trust you more than my plans, more than my fears, more than my strength. The power of midnight prayer lies in its timing. The world is silent, but the heavens are open. The spiritual atmosphere is pure. Distractions have faded and the heart can hear what it could not hear in the noise of the day. It is in these moments that divine instructions are revealed, that clarity comes to a confused mind, that strength returns to a weary soul. The heart that bends before Allah at midnight rises with a new kind of power. The power of peace, the power of divine assurance. Prayer at midnight does not just change situations, it changes people. It transforms the inner world of a believer. It softens the heart, humbles the ego, and purifies the intentions. It reminds you that life is not sustained by your own wisdom or effort, but by the mercy of the one who gives breath. When you pray at that hour, your faith is not limited by sight. You begin to walk with the confidence that even if you cannot see the way forward, the one you prayed to in the night has already gone before you to make a way. There is a calm that follows midnight prayer, a peace that does not depend on circumstances. The body may still be tired, but the soul feels rested. The heart may still face challenges, but it beats with a quiet strength that cannot be shaken. This is the fruit of connecting with God when the world is silent. It is a peace that money cannot buy and success cannot replace. It is the kind of peace that keeps you grounded even in the storms of life. When you make it a habit to pray at midnight, you begin to experience how heaven responds to consistency. Each night, your spirit grows stronger, your faith deeper, and your discernment clearer. The things that once seemed impossible begin to unfold naturally, not because life got easier, but because your connection to God became stronger. Midnight prayer does not change the nature of God. It changes the posture of your heart toward Him. It reminds you that even in the darkest hour, His presence is light. There are blessings that only come to those who are willing to meet God in the quiet of the night. These are not just material blessings, but blessings of wisdom, favor, insight, and divine companionship. The night becomes your meeting place with the unseen, your secret altar where heaven and earth meet. And when you return to sleep after such prayer, your rest becomes holy, your dreams become peaceful, and your morning begins with divine energy. The world may not know what happened in that quiet hour, but heaven knows. And the evidence of it will show in your life. In the silence of the night, when everything else has gone still, the heart becomes a sacred space. It is in those quiet moments that the soul speaks a language beyond words. A language that heaven understands perfectly. The heart, when free from noise and distraction, transforms into a temple where divine encounters unfold. The night hides the world, but reveals the spirit. It is in that silence that you begin to feel the nearness of God, the softness of His mercy, and the weight of His presence. There is something holy about those hours when your mind is still and your heart begins to listen. The noise of the day fades, and what remains is a whisper, a pull, a gentle reminder that the Creator is not far. When the world sleeps and all voices grow silent, the heart becomes more sensitive to what it could not perceive during the day. The busyness of life often drowns the subtle voice of God. But in the night, that voice becomes clear, gentle, and powerful. It is in these quiet moments that guidance comes, not always in words, but in peace that fills your chest without explanation. Sometimes the silence of the night is not empty. It is full of answers. It is full of reminders that you are not forgotten, that every tear, every longing, every unspoken prayer is seen. The night has a way of bringing everything into focus. It strips away the false strength of the day and brings you face to face with your truest self, the one that longs for connection, the one that knows that only God can fill the void within. In that sacred stillness, the heart is not distracted by the opinions of people or the noise of worry. It becomes honest. It speaks truthfully to God. You begin to pour out everything you've been holding. The pain you couldn't express, the gratitude you didn't show, the fears you didn't admit. And as you do, something happens in that temple of the heart. You begin to feel lighter, freer. The burden you thought you carried alone starts to lift. The silence does not judge you, it receives you. It becomes the meeting ground between your weakness and God's strength. The heart that learns to find peace in silence discovers a new kind of power. It no longer seeks validation from the world, because it has found assurance in the presence of the divine. The one who prays in silence knows that even when words fail, the heart continues to speak. The tears that fall in the quiet of the night are not wasted. They are collected as evidence of faith, as proof of surrender. The heart that bows before God in solitude carries a fragrance that heaven recognizes. That fragrance is sincerity, the purest form of worship. Many people fear silence because it exposes the truth. It reveals how restless the soul has become. But for those who embrace it, silence becomes healing. It becomes the space where you can breathe again, where you can feel your spirit realign with what truly matters. The silence of the night is not loneliness, it is invitation. It invites you to sit in the presence of God without performance, without pressure, without pretense. It reminds you that He does not require perfection. He desires connection. In those moments, the heart becomes aware of realities unseen. You begin to feel that there is something greater than the struggles of life. You begin to realize that every breath is sustained by mercy, that every heartbeat is a reminder of divine generosity. The night teaches you humility. It teaches you that without the presence of Allah, even rest cannot bring peace. It teaches you to depend not on your strength, but on His grace. The heart's temple is not made of stone or light. It is built through surrender. Every time you choose to be still and remember God, you build an altar within yourself. You make space for His presence to dwell. You open your soul for revelation, comfort, and renewal. Sometimes in that silence, there are no visions, no voices, no supernatural signs, just peace. But that peace is not small, it is divine. It is the kind of peace that heals memories, restores hope, and renews courage. When your heart becomes quiet enough, you begin to sense that you are never truly alone. You start to understand that the unseen world is more real than the one you can touch. You begin to feel that your prayers, even the ones you thought were ignored, are still alive in the presence of God. The heart that has tasted that awareness no longer fears the night. It learns to see the night as a gift, a time to recharge, to reconnect, to realign. The darkness that once brought anxiety becomes a blanket of calm, because you know that within it, divine light is working. It is in the silence of the heart that true transformation happens. Not in noise, not in chaos, not in striving, but in surrender. When the heart becomes still, the spirit begins to rise. You begin to see the beauty in simplicity, the strength in waiting, and the holiness in quiet prayer. It is there that you discover that every heartbeat is a form of daka, every breath is a form of gratitude, and every moment of stillness is a conversation with the divine. The night, once feared, becomes a friend. The silence, once uncomfortable, becomes sacred. And the heart, once restless, becomes a temple where heaven visits, and where God Himself leaves traces of His presence. When a person sleeps after remembering Allah, their sleep becomes more than just rest. It becomes worship, protection, and blessing. The night, which many see as a time to escape from the worries of the day, can actually become a sacred moment when the soul draws closer to its Creator. There is something deeply powerful about the state of a believer who falls asleep with a heart full of remembrance. The lips may fall silent, the eyes may close, but the spirit continues to whisper the name of Allah. Such a heart does not sleep in darkness. It rests beneath the light of divine mercy. Sleep is one of the most mysterious creations of God. It is a reminder of our weakness, our limits, and our need for the one who never sleeps. When we surrender to sleep, we surrender control. We hand over our breath, our safety, our dreams, and our life into the care of the one who guards the universe without rest. For many, sleep is a time of forgetfulness, but for those who know the secret of remembrance, it becomes a time of blessing. When your last words are a prayer and your last thoughts are gratitude, you enter the night under divine watch. The angels stand near those who remember Allah before sleeping. Their homes become surrounded by unseen peace, and their hearts are covered by divine comfort. In that state, even the world of dreams becomes a place of purity. Your sleep turns into a spiritual sanctuary, a space where the unseen realm interacts with your spirit. The prophet once said that the soul of the believer is taken during sleep and returned by God in the morning. This mystery reminds us that every night is an act of surrender and every morning is a resurrection of mercy. When you sleep with a heart that remembers Allah, your rest becomes guarded. Evil cannot touch where divine light dwells. Fear loses its grip and worry finds no space. The heart that trusts in God, even while unconscious, lives under the promise of protection. That is why it is said that the remembrance of Allah is not just for waking hours. It is the companion that guards you even in your deepest sleep. It is the bridge between your body and your soul, the link that keeps your spirit anchored to heaven even when your mind drifts into dreams. Imagine what it means for your spirit to be in remembrance while your body sleeps. The angels record those moments as acts of worship. The very breaths you take in that state become part of your devotion. The body rests, but the soul continues to glorify its creator. And when the morning comes, such a person rises lighter, stronger, and filled with a peace that words cannot explain. That is the power of sleeping with remembrance. It renews not only your body, but your spirit. Those who make remembrance a habit before sleep do not face the same kind of night as others. Their dreams become clearer, their sleep deeper, their hearts calmer. Sometimes God uses those hours to bring messages through dreams, to reveal comfort, or to give silent guidance. It is not superstition, it is spiritual connection. When you fall asleep in remembrance, your spirit enters the night holding the hand of faith, and when you awaken, you do so wrapped in divine favor. There is beauty in the small act of saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, or La ilaha illallah before closing your eyes. It may seem simple, almost ordinary, but in the unseen world, those words are light. They illuminate your path in the darkness. They call the angels to your side. They drive away fear and negative thoughts. They keep your heart soft and aware even in rest. It is not about the length of your prayer, but the purity of your intention. When you remember Allah sincerely, even your sleep becomes a continuation of worship. Think of how peaceful it is to fall asleep knowing you have spoken to your Creator, asked for His forgiveness, thanked Him for your day, and trusted Him with your tomorrow. The heart that sleeps like this is not burdened. It does not carry guilt or worry into the night. It releases everything into the hands of God, knowing that His protection is more powerful than any fear. Such a person wakes up not only refreshed, but favored. They may not understand why the day feels lighter or why blessings flow easily, but it is because their night was spent under divine attention. Even when trials surround you, even when the world feels heavy, remembering Allah before sleep is an act of quiet resistance. It is your way of saying, no matter what happens today, I end this day in peace with my Lord. It is a declaration that your hope remains anchored, your trust unbroken. That act alone can shift your entire spiritual atmosphere. The worries that seemed loud before bed become small when placed in the hands of the Almighty. When your spirit aligns with remembrance before sleep, your dreams begin to reflect purity. You may find yourself dreaming of light, of peace, of guidance. Sometimes You may wake up with new clarity or with strength that wasn't there before. That is how divine presence works. It renews you quietly, without drama, without noise. The night becomes more than darkness. It becomes a conversation between your soul and its creator. The one who learns to sleep in remembrance of Allah carries that peace into their waking hours. They walk through the day with a quiet confidence, a deep assurance that no matter what happens, they are never alone. The peace of the night spills into the light of morning. Such people do not rush through life anxious or lost, because they know they are guarded by something greater than their own strength. Their hearts have tasted divine companionship, and that awareness changes everything. So when you lie down tonight, do not just see it as the end of another day. See it as a sacred meeting between your spirit and your Lord. Let your heart soften, your thoughts quiet, and your lips whisper his name. Let your final words be a prayer, your final thought be gratitude, and your final act be surrender. Because when your sleep begins in remembrance, it becomes a night watched over by heaven, and every blessing you could not chase in the day begins to find you while you rest.